we throw around all the time, but do we really, truly know what it means? We're going to ask a really big question today. What exactly is learning? When I say the word learning, what pops into your head? For most of us, right, it's probably a classroom, maybe a huge stack of textbooks, or one of those all-nighters studying for a final. But is that really the whole story? Is learning just this formal thing we do in school? Well, it turns out learning is way, way bigger and more dynamic than that. Here's the definition we're going to be working with. Learning is the process of changing what we know, how we think, and how we act. And it all happens in response to new information and experiences. See, the two magic words there are process and changing. And that gets us to our first huge idea. We've got to stop thinking of learning as some kind of finish line, like getting a diploma. Instead, think of it as the actual engine that drives change in our lives. Now, what's so cool about this is that it paints learning as this active, constant transformation. It's not something that just happens to you. It's a force that's literally reshaping three key parts of who you are: what you know, your mindset, and the things you actually do. It's the difference between, say, knowing a storm is on the way, understanding the meteorology of why it's forming, and then actually grabbing an umbrella before you head out the door. So, when does all this happen? Well, it happens whenever we bump up against the world. Like this says, when we face new situations and information, we adjust and improve our understanding. Imagine a guitar player who hears a crazy new chord, and suddenly a whole new universe of songwriting just cracks wide open for them. That is learning in action. It's this nonstop loop of seeing something new, adjusting our thinking, and getting better. Okay, so if learning is this big process of change, how do we actually, do it in our day-to-day lives? Well, we can actually break it down into three core methods. First off, let's be really clear about what we're getting out of the deal. It's not just about hoarding facts for trivia night. It's really a 3-for-1 package. You're gaining new knowledge, for sure, but you're also building practical skills and adopting completely new ways of looking at the world. Think about learning to cook, right? You get knowledge from a recipe book, you develop the actual skill of chopping an onion without crying, and you start to think differently about how salts and acid and fat all work together. So here's how we get it done. It's actually pretty simple. Number 1, by studying, reading that cookbook. Number 2, by practicing, actually getting into the kitchen, messing up a few times, and trying again until it's delicious. And number 3, by watching others, binging a cooking show or just watching a friend who really knows their way around a kitchen and soaking up how they do it. So we've got the what and we've got the how, but why? What's the point of all this changing and practicing? Where is this all supposed to lead? Well, the ultimate outcome, the whole goal of learning, is one powerful little word: growth. You can almost see it as a before and after picture. Over on the left, you've got your starting point, your initial state with all your current knowledge and skills. But then on the right, after you've gone through the process, you're in the learned state. Your understanding and your actions have been tweaked, and most importantly, they've improved. You went from being the person who just owned a recipe to being the person who can actually cook the meal. And this is why it matters so much. This whole transformation, it isn't just some abstract concept. It gives us two huge real-world benefits. First, it helps us grow as people to become more capable and well-rounded individuals. And second, it helps us get better at whatever it is we do, whether that's our job, a hobby we love, or even how we are in our relationships. So let's wrap this all up. When you start to see learning this way, as this constant process of change that's fueled by studying, by practicing, by just paying attention, it totally reframes how you look at pretty much everything in your daily life. And it all leads to this really powerful conclusion, I think. Learning isn't just another item on your to-do list. It's not something you do. It's a fundamental part of who you become. It's the continuous, lifelong project of creating a better, more capable version of yourself. So, that leaves us with one final thought to carry with us. If learning really is the engine of change, and if you're the one sitting in the driver's seat, then really, the only question left to ask is, what change are you gonna make today?